The Million Words Club is a group of Murphysboro middle school and high school students who read books independently and log the amount of words read through an online database. We host parties every quarter for students who have met the 1 million words goal, and our goal as a group is to promote reading and show others how awesome reading can be.
One of my favorite books I've read recently is Shiver. I like it because it has to do with a lot of fantasy. The book's about a girl that, whenever she was young, was taken by wolves. And one of the wolves stopped the other wolves from eating her. Mm-hmm. So she falls in love with this wolf. And as you go on in the story, she finds out secrets about the wolf that makes it easier to love the wolf. And her and the wolf try to find a way to make him stay human. Depending on your reading level, probably 12 and up, 9.5.
The book I'm reading right now is Tower of Dawn. It's the 6th book in a series called the Throne of Glass series. This series is about an assassin who goes to compete in this game for a king to be the king's champion, and then while they're competing there's these disappearances happening, and there's this girl and she is this princess of a foreign land, and this assassin Selena befriends her, and they just go on this amazing adventure where they find danger at every corner, and then there's a few love interests, but yeah, it's really good. Depending on, again, your reading level, I would recommend it to 7th graders, because that's when I read it. It's very good. It does get a little graphic at times, gory, but okay. It's very good.
My favorite book probably of all time would have to be The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, because it kind of gives you, it's not based on any one person, but it's a very realistic kind of story, and it's very timeless too, that it's not set in a specific town or a specific time period, that you can relate to it a lot, especially at our age, in high school, that you follow this boy, Pony Boy, and all a very small group of his friends that they watch out for each other, and they always have each other's back, and they're always in the middle of this kind of gang war that is between the greasers and the socials, the socials, so higher class and lower class people, and they're always fighting, and it's kind of tragic and also a little bit humbling that you notice how when you have someone in your life and they're really important to you, how easy it is to lose them, and it's it pulls at your heartstrings a little bit. Probably more 8th graders and up, because it's just kind of it can be a little bit graphic and it can be a little bit deep, yeah.
I would say Scythe, because it's about the utopian society that they found a cure for death. And they found this cure for death, but then they have a problem with overpopulation. So since they have a problem with overpopulation, they create Scythes. And Scythes is a gang of people who are, they murder, well, they don't murder, they glean people, because they don't use that word anymore. Well, they glean these people so that they can keep the population down. Gleaning is practically murdering in any possible way. Poison, weapons. combat, and if you fight back the scythes, then they have permission to kill your whole family and fight back, run away. They have that permission. Well, these two kids, a boy and a girl, they were both, one of the peoples in their social groups was both gleaned by the same scythe, and they both rejected the scythe, but they never had any consequences against them. Well, whenever they were rejected by the scythe had chosen them for an apprenticeship, and in the apprenticeship they were chosen to be future scythes. Mm-hmm. Well, they are learning, and in the scythedom, they have two different. It's like a social group. Uh-huh. One social group is with
the New Order.
Like
the New Order.
The new order.
The new scythes, like the younger scythes versus the older scythes, different ways.
Well, I was talking about how Goddard and all that.
Oh, okay.
There's like bad scythes and there's good scythes, and the bad scythes like do torturous ways to glean their people, and in the good scythes they find less harmful ways and less murderous ways. Well, one of their apprentice or something, he killed himself, and then the good scythe and the bad scythe groups, one chose the boy and one chose the girl, and now they have to go at war with each other to see who gets a scythedom, and whoever loses has to be killed. And it's a little heartbreaking. Probably 8th grade and up, because it gets really gory.
Okay.
And it's very detailed.
My favorite book is Adventures Wanted by a kid named Alex. Alex works at a pub with his uncle, and he cleans dishes, and he walks down his favorite street called Gilden Lane, and he walks down it, noticing the dusty old library having a new sign saying Adventures Wanted. He looks around, and there's nobody around. That's very suspicious, because there's always people around walking on Gilden Lane. It's a very popular street. So he looks back again, and it says Adventures Wanted, good prices. And then he was like, why would it change? And then he looks at it, he keeps looking at it, and it changes to Adventures Wanted, good prices, good adventures found here. So he was like, he walked into the store, and he found a man named Mr. Clutter. Mr. Clutter took him to an interview, and he interrupted Alex at every point, and he interviewed him about kind of like magic, and he started talking about creatures, and he named off a long list of creatures that Alex knew none of, and he wanted to know if Alex had any innate magic or knew how to fight with weapons. And then he went and got the people that were going to hire him for an adventure. An elf and a dwarf walk in, and then the adventure begins in Talos in the known lands. 6th graders and up, there's little details on some of the characters. They don't like detail the character like, oh, he looks like this and all this. They don't give super major details, so it's kind of for younger kids to understand it better. It's also, there is a little bit of death and a little bit of stuff, but not really. It's not very detailed.
All right, sounds good. Awesome. All right, now are we ready to talk about scary stories? So my favorite scary story is the yellow wallpaper that we read for one of my college classes. And the yellow wallpaper is about a woman who is suffering from postpartum depression, but it's set in the past, and so her husband just thinks she's hysterical. So her and her husband John, they rent out this big, magnificent summer home to stay in just for the summer. He's a physician. He's a really practical man, so he's taking her out there, getting her some fresh air, trying to make her better. So they go, and she's got this really creepy feeling about this nursery room where they've been staying, because it's got this yellow wallpaper that has this intricate pattern. She doesn't like it. So he tries to keep her busy with like household chores and doing things like that, and she doesn't like it because she's used to writing all the time, and he's told her she doesn't need to be writing or really thinking very hard anymore. She just needs to relax, and so she keeps a diary hidden from him. So the story is written by the perspective of her diary entries. And it's not long, it's short, it's a short story. So her diary entries, they continue to get shorter and a little crazier as it goes on because she's sort of starting to lose it as time passes. She just thinks that there's some evil being stuck within that wallpaper, and she just knows that something doesn't feel right, and she writes about it and writes about it. And her husband keeps telling her that it's okay, it's fine, nothing's happening, and he eventually takes all the furniture out of the room except for her bed that she sleeps in. And so she stays in this room, and eventually you come to find out that she is the crazy person that's entrapped by the yellow wallpaper, because she starts scratching at it, trying to get it off, and she just starts circling the room kind of endlessly, crazily, like pulling at the wallpaper, getting it off. And her husband finally breaks down the door and gets in there and sees her kind of prowling around the room like this crazy, almost like a creature, and he faints on sight. And that's sort of the end. You're just kind of left thinking, what happens? What's wrong with her? It's creepy. It's really good. I would recommend it for high school kids and older. It might be a little difficult for younger kids to understand. I would definitely say upper high school. But it's a great story, so I think everybody should give it a shot. I've got a copy in my classroom if anybody wants to check it out.
I want a copy.
Okay, come on by.
Dibs tomorrow.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
No,
come on.
I called Ella dibs.
It won't take you long. She'll be done in a day. It's not bad at all.
I'll read it all day.
Okay then.
Anybody else? Scary stories?
Mine is probably The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe, and it's about this guy who he's kind of like, he's not really a slave, but he's kind of like a butler almost, and he kills the master of his house, and then he starts killing more people, and he hides them in the floorboards, and then he slowly starts to go insane because he thinks he's gonna get caught, and that like if he gets caught they'll kill him. So he starts to think he's like hearing heartbeats and stuff like that. So it's The Telltale Heart.
Awesome.
It just like, it freaks me out sometimes.
Who would you recommend that to? Age group?
Either like advanced 8th graders or
Absolutely.
like high school, like freshmen, sophomores.
I would definitely say that's high school level work, if not advanced. 8th grade for sure. It can be a little heavy.
Yeah. We read it in 8th grade because we were all like...
I don't know when I read it. I think it was in 6th grade whenever I read Ouija, but Ouija is about a group of teenagers that get around this Ouija board, and they try and summon demons constantly, like all night, and then next thing you know, lights go out, everything goes dark, room starts shaking, Ouija board starts flying. Well, and then this girl goes missing, the older sister of the house. She goes missing, don't see her, and they have to go on this giant hunt to find this girl's older sister, and they don't know what's happening as creepy stuff happens all around them.
Awesome. Who would you recommend this to, age group?
Well, I read it in 6th grade, and it was really easy for me to understand, so I'd probably go 6th grade and up.
Awesome. Sounds good. Anybody else? Scary stories?
Never read them.
Never read a scary story?
Other than The Telltale
before?
Heart, you have to read that in English, but
Right.
that's about it.
I will bring you
I've read a
tomorrow.
lot of Edgar Allan Poe.
In our November book talk, we're going to talk about our favorite series, what we, like everything we like about them, why we were so entrapped by them, and that's about it. Thank you for listening. Bye.